It's great to have Jerry Remy with us, and it's going to be even better to have Jerry Remy back in the booth for an entire baseball game. And we're going to have that this Thursday when the Red Sox take on the Orioles in Sarasota. Great to have you. Great to see you. Got to admit, I'm a little jealous, given the weather that we're getting up here in Massachusetts. You look good with the tan and with the blue shirt and with the sun behind you. But great news that you're going to be in the booth on Thursday. Tell us why you wanted to get in there before opening day, because I know opening day was your goal.
Well, it's like pitchers getting ready for their first start of the season. You got to build up your word count. Pitchers go a couple of innings, and then they go 4 innings and 5 innings. I'll go 40 words maybe, then up to 60 and 90. But basically, seriously, it's just to get back in form of doing games and getting comfortable behind the mic. And I've been looking forward to this for a long time, so I can't wait till Thursday. We got that game up against Baltimore and Sarasota, so we're looking forward to it.
Well, I was fascinated to hear you speak with Dave and with Steve Lyons in the booth the last time that we carried a game, talking so much about your treatment, stuff that I hadn't really heard before. And I want to build on that a little bit. And the basic fact, you get the question, I'm sure, how do you feel a lot? But what I want to know is when you wake up every day, kind of what's your checklist? When you're going through this and you wake up in the morning, you probably shake out the cobwebs, and what goes through your mind?
Well, it's obviously not a pleasant experience what I've been through since last June, actually, when I had surgery, then the chemotherapy and radiation. And I got to admit, it was very good to get back down here in Florida. I came down on March 1st, and what I really needed is to do some walking to try to get back in shape a little bit. I've been walking around the ballpark quite a bit to try to get my wind back because I had radiation, and that kind of takes a lot out of your lungs. So with that, I think in the good weather, the combination of that, I feel much stronger now than I did just 3 weeks ago. So I'm really looking forward to baseball. One thing that kept me going through all of this is the fact that I have a great job, that I love to do it. And I love bringing baseball games back to the folks of Boston and New England. So, it's one of the things you think about when you're going through tough times is that you want to get back to doing what you enjoy. And I'm finally going to get back to doing that on Thursday.
Now, this time the doctors went in, they did a surgery, removed a part of your lung. What was eye-opening about everything you've experienced since June that you may not have anticipated going in?
Well, the scary thing about it was obviously the chemotherapy because, usually they have been able to go in and get some, a piece of a tumor out, but this time it had spread. And that's when they came to the news with me that I needed chemotherapy followed by 27 treatments of radiation. So that was kind of a shock, and that was probably the low point for me going through the process. But, you do what you have to do. And then, the interesting thing is I've talked about before is you're in there with a lot of people with a lot of courage. And you look to your left, you look to your right, and there's somebody that's in, probably worse shape than you are. So, the strength of these people that go through these type of things is just incredible to me. And they gave me an awful lot of strength going through it myself. So, it's something I don't wish on anybody, but it's doable. It's the whole key is catching it early so the doctors can treat it. And the fact is you got to see your doctors because they're the only ones that can pick this stuff up.
I want to pick up on something you said in that last answer, the emotional side of it, and that you had some downtimes. And you've been very open about the bouts with depression and how important it is for you to stay on that medicine and to deal with that head on. That plays into this too. So when you get to those down points, how did you get back to a high point?
Well, I've been on medication for a number of years now, probably 10 years. I had a couple of bouts of depression years ago, and they finally found the right combination of treatment for me. And actually, I didn't get depressed. You get concerned, obviously, and you get nervous, and you get worried about, what might happen if this doesn't work, things like that. But I've never felt depressed about what I was going through. And I think a lot of that had to do with the people that surround me, my family, obviously, and the people that were around me in the hospitals, the doctors. Trust your doctors. They're terrific. We got the best in the country up in the area that we live in, and even through the snowstorms, they're great always. So the fact is that gave me a lot of encouragement. And, mentally, I'm fine. I'm just anxious to get back to not being bored and to be able to do some baseball games.
You got to pinch yourself, though, sometimes, too. You have a cult status here in New England that you couldn't have imagined was a reality. How eye-opening has that been for you to see this just army and legion of fans who support you every step of the way?
Well, it's been fabulous, and I'm going into my 31st season doing this, and I thank the people so much for the support that they've given me throughout the years, in good times and bad times. And the fact is that I never anticipated to be here 31 years when I started this job. I thought it might be a 5-6 year thing and out, and here I am going into my 31st season. So, it's obvious that I love my job, and I think the people sense that, and hopefully you gain their trust. We go into people's homes, every day of the season, and you become part of the family. And sometimes we forget about that when we're on this side of the camera. But on the other side of the camera, they feel like you're part of the family. And so, that's the big thing. And the response that I've got, through some of my tough times and has been absolutely amazing. And I'm so thankful to the people for the cards, the notes, and the emails and the texts and everything I've received. It's impossible for me to answer everybody that is going, but I certainly know Red Sox Nation was behind me. So I don't know if it's a cult, but it's something that makes me feel pretty good.
Oh, people love hearing you. You're such a big part of their life. So what is the plan for work? I mean, how much will you be with the team? The travel? Will you take the road trips? What's the plan going in?
Yeah, I'm going to do about 115 games this season, including the 5 down here in spring training. And we've kind of set up a schedule, I should say NESN has set up a schedule where I'm not making a West Coast trip early in the season, which I think is a very good thing. So I'll be getting some time off. It's kind of I think we've reached a really good number for both of us where, we can work together on getting some time off when you need it, but also being very, very involved. 115 games, that's most of the games, and I'm happy to be in that category where I'm doing most of the games. But also when, it's also a long season, and it's nice to get a little break every once in a while. The days of me doing 162, those are gone. I mean, I can't imagine going back to doing that. But, as long as we can stay around 100, over 100, I think that's a very good number for me. It gives me time to relax, and it gives me time to energize, to get back in the booth and start doing the games again.
Well, you said you've been there since March 1st, so you've got a chance to catch up with a lot of the guys, get to know this team a little bit better. I'm going to ask you 2 baseball questions, and the first one's this.
Yeah.
The most impressive thing, the standout performance or the standout event that's happened since you've gotten there on March 1st, what's jumped out at you?
Well, I had a chance to watch David Price throw in his first outing in a spring training simulated game. It was a 3-inning ball game, and I was fortunate enough to be standing right behind the batting cage and had a chance to watch this, and it was very impressive. And it was the David Price that I remember from Detroit, from Toronto, from Tampa. And it's David Price that we remember from the playoffs last year. And I think that's such a key for the Red Sox. When you have a guy like Sale leading the way and Price pitching the way that he possibly can, a bounce back from Porcello. Right now, the 4 and 5 spots because of injuries are in question mark right now, but that's going to be a short-term type of deal. So I think the performance by David Price so far this spring has been the most impressive thing because, I look to the pitching. I always look to the pitching first, and if you're strong with that, then you're going to have a good ball club.
Let's go to the other end of the spectrum. With just a few days before opening days here, what's giving you the most concern about this team?
Well, the concern right now for me is not major. I do have a little concern about the 4 and 5 starters right now, but as I said, that's going to be a short-term thing. I think the solution is coming very quickly with Eduardo Rodriguez, who, as a matter of fact, today is pitching 4 innings in a minor league game. So that's a very positive thing. And Stephen Wright is also starting to come along. So Pomerantz is coming along better, a little bit slower than the other 2 guys, but he's getting better. So I think that, they may have to go with 4 and 5 starters early in the season that, they probably wouldn't be on the club if it wasn't for the injuries. But the fact is, I think it may be no more than a couple of starts. I would expect those guys back, probably early, middle of April, late April. And, the key after that is really keeping everybody healthy because the whole team, it's a very solid ball club. It's a solid starting rotation, a very, very solid bullpen, and the offense is going to be, dangerous and score a lot of runs. So, it's got an excellent chance. You're always optimistic in the spring, but I try to look at it realistically, and I feel that this is a very good ball club as long as it can stay healthy.
Just hearing your voice, very soothing. Soak in that sun, because you're not getting much of it up here. Okay. It's going to be snowing this week. You may come back with some snowflakes on the ground.
Yeah, enjoy the snow. Okay.
Good stuff, Jerry. Thanks so much for the time, and we'll look forward to seeing you Thursday when the Red Sox play the Orioles right here on Boston 25.
All right, thank you.